I'm not sure if that did it, but I was live. I forgot to add that to the queue. This is digital art right here in the background that I create. And this was fragmented spirits. It wasn't supposed to look so organic, um, but it was supposed to look like I've seen it. A lot of us who are chosen, a lot of us who are earth angels and empaths, and we're just spiritually gifted. Let me just say that. I get tired of terms and labels, right? Because I've been everything and I still am everything. We all have the gifts. We all have potential. Issa said, well, these things that I do, you can do and greater, because he studied in the East. He studied what is now called Hinduism. He studied, the chakra and frequencies and energy, and the ability to heal yourself because of your the master of your energy, right? You can change your DNA to what it needs to be. And that's something that they've been imparting to me, and kind of ministering to me about my soul tribe, because I've reached such an elevation that now, as I've used, a lot of you know my story. So let me cut there and let me say this. So my name is Tanil, and I'm a transformational coach for Black, lesbian, and trans women 30 to 50 who have survived a relationship with a cluster B personality, and any type of hard transition that they've done, that they've had to go through, by family, or cluster B personalities, be they family, co-workers, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, etc., and even teachers, police officers, whatever, and are ready to go through the 4 steps that I guide them through to break generational curses, get to know the Most High better, and regain confidence and clarity. And the best part is actually reconnecting with one's authentic self. As I've said many times before, Phoenix's Rising Academy, once you know yourself, you will know God. Okay, so the 4 steps, just very briefly, I'm not going to go over, I would just read it out. The is reveal, which is you have to have your patterns and beliefs that are toxic, that are worse in for survival, and that are old, and or the beliefs and patterns of other people. One thing that will happen is, or that has happened and does happen, the trauma bond is a parasitic symbiote, which is the cluster B personality. That parasitic symbiote has attacked you without provocation, because they absolutely abhor you, the fact that you exist. Right. So a lot of times what they will do is that they will traumatize you, and sometimes they don't have to traumatize you in the physical realm. They're traumatizing you in the spiritual realm, and attaching a cord to you, because they want your life force. See, they see with spiritual eyes, not with material eyes, but they will use the material world and all that it offers in order to destroy you. Okay, so sometimes the patterns and beliefs, and even the health conditions and whatever, that manifests into those types of things, especially, do not come from you. And so I am providing a space for us. It's for everybody, but specifically for lesbian and trans women 30 to 50, because we don't get to talk about this in relationships, right? So I'm offering a safe space, so that way, and talking about the esoteric, talking about the occult, talking about witchcraft, talking about gang stalking, because these are all, these are all, environments that the cluster B flourishes in. They're all their tactics, their tools, that the cluster B personalities use to keep themselves in power. Right. So the second the part of it is to heal from what we've faced. And you cannot heal if you do not want to face it, because if you're not facing it, you're not seeing it for what it was. right? The situation, the environment, whatever. You're not seeing it for what it was because you're still, and so therefore you will still hold on to patterns and beliefs that have kept you and other people's, patterns and beliefs and other people's drama spiritually first, energetically. Right? If you can't see it, I had to look at the fact that my dad was a sexual predator. I had to look at the fact that my mom never wanted me. I had to look at all of that. I had to feel it because, and that's a lot of times why we don't look because we don't want to feel. But if you don't want to feel the pain, you can't, no, you can't diagnose it. And so, the Most High can't diagnose it. Nobody can diagnose it. Your coach, your counselor, or whatever cannot diagnose it. So in order to heal, you have to first have it revealed. You have to look at it. So the second part is when trauma happens, we don't get to see the bigger picture. So that's why we do step one. Understanding brings healing. Know better, do better. So when you've already had it revealed, now you can heal from it because now you know better. And so you can do better. And from that, just those two steps, reveal and heal, you will ultimately grow. Depending on and really too, what I found is that you are the one that's going to stop your progress. So it's like, okay, I'll look at this or I'll look at that or I'll see that for what it is and I'll accept it and move on and but I'm still going to hold on to this because this is what I've built off of this and see. So the level, your level, and one thing that I found for me personally, and because of my purpose, the Most High wasn't playing with me. I never leveled up. I never felt myself level up until it was absolutely completed. Like I was not going to be able to take the easier, softer road. That was not going to happen. Right? So when you grow, the third step is grow. You release fear, guilt, and shame and forgive others, including yourself. You're no longer carrying your own baggage, or their baggage. You're not carrying any baggage anymore. All right. So that lifts you because the whole purpose of the cluster B demonic entities is for them to burden you with their load because they don't want to take responsibility. And it's not necessarily conscious, but it's a result of deflection. When you deflect something, what do? So when you're playing tennis, right? You're deflecting that ball. You don't want it to cross out of a certain, if it goes out of bounds, it goes out of bounds, but you don't want it to cross and to a point where you can't reach it. So you immediately run to deflect it. You're putting all your strength, all your energy into deflecting it. You're strategizing next time. How can I better deflect it back so I don't have to take responsibility? How can I put it over in somebody else's court? Okay. So growing is releasing fear, guilt, and shame and forgiving others, including yourself. You're no longer carrying their baggage. Okay. So, and then you show yourself, and really it happens automatically if you have thoroughly. There seem like 4 easy ingredients to working, knowing your purpose and living from your authentic self. But depending on your life path and the experiences that you have, it can be hard. It can be daunting, upsetting to go through. I mean, I had it. Who wants to sit there and look at the fact that their father was not sexually attracted to him? How am I supposed to feel bad about that? And the stepmom who reminded me, right? So you have to look at the race. I've said before too, you have to die to everything that you think you are. Because most of us grew up in toxic environments. Most of us grew up in cluster B homes. And we became what we needed to be to survive. At 5, at 3. Come on, I know some of you feel me. Come on. Right? So, when similar situations arise, we respond with emotional intelligence. It's having spiritual intelligence. Once we have spiritual intelligence, we have intellectual intelligence and we have emotional intelligence. Okay. Once we have spiritual intelligence, we have intellectual and emotional intelligence. A lot of people don't know what that's about. They don't. And people will tell you, oh, the cluster B personality, the narcissist, the sociopath, the psychopath are so smart. No, they just move in the shadows and they watch and they mimic. And really, it's not them that's doing it. It's not the fleshly body that's doing it, but it's this parasitic demonic symbiote that they've allowed to take residence in their body, that is navigating. If you guys have ever seen Venom, that's exactly what it is. I have somebody who I have to continually, because she's stubborn. It's not because I'm not fasting right. It's not because I'm not, taking spiritual baths. It's not because I don't have the right mantra to chant. It's not because I'm not saying the right prayers. It's not any of that. It's because this person, they have to literally win at all costs. And especially when they've been on a 5-8 year losing streak. And now that stuff is starting to come back to them. The witchcraft is now being deflected back to them because I am working from my authentic self. As that's why we were talking about pathological envy and jealousy today, because I had to go to work and I had to choose whether I might be homeless because I can't get another job fast enough, or to allow myself to be abused and ran over by somebody who has no authority in the workplace. And but for God, but for the Most High, but for my spiritual team. See, when you authentically live from your authentic self and you do not compromise with any type of terrorism, it's amazing how things go your way, but you have to clear. These are 4 steps to clearing out your spiritual pipes, your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's there. These are what we do to clear it out. And, you guys will have me. There's an 8-week course coming in summer, I believe. I'm hoping that's what we're going for. Coming in the summertime. There's 2 parts. One part is we're going over who, what, when, and where, and how cluster Bs, which is the narcissist, the psychopath, the sociopath, the antisocial, the histrionic, the borderline, and some levels of bipolar disorder. Okay. So, and I just want to remind everybody, I am not a psychiatrist and I am not a psychologist. Right. So when you get triggered and we need to go deeper, you need to go deeper, then you need to have a psychologist or a psychiatrist on standby. I am a coach. I am a support system. I'm providing a community for us all to talk about without any type of judgments, toxic judgments that you could just sit and it's like, hey, I specialize, I focus on lesbians because and trans women, because we don't talk about this, Black lesbians and trans women, because we don't get to talk about this in our community. Even now with TikTok and whatever, I don't see a lot of Black lesbians like coming out. I see a lot of, soft studs and stems, just on TikTok talking about relationships and stuff like that, but they're really not going deep. Right, because they're trying to position themselves more into being a popular stud or whatever. You're not really getting deep. You're not really getting deep in it. So anyway, let's see. And sometimes I will cut off you guys because there's a lot going on. So in a nutshell, coaching with me, you can be reassured because I've gone through what many of my clients have conquered, and I have conquered it. So this is the reason why I tell people your blessings are literally in your ashes. So it is time to rise. And just to let you know, as a coach, I am not just a survivor of cluster B personalities, being, in a household of narcissists and flying monkeys, but I'm also a survivor of gang stalking and witchcraft attacks that were designed to take me out. not just make me lose everything, including my home and all that, but to absolutely take me out. And so, and also a survivor of narcissistic abuse for over 10 years. And for those 10 years, I was homeless for 3 years. And I survived because I was willing to do the work to put me at a higher level, right? To put me spiritually first at a higher level. And I survived because the divine took me through the 4 steps that I am taking you guys through, to my spiritual, physical, and financial and mental freedom. Okay. And so here too, so now we're going to segue into the pathological envy, because I want to remind you guys that just it's not ever going to be, it's not that you're not doing the work. Whether you're doing the work, phoenixes. So I'm talking to my phoenixes who are down to do the work. They're not about that, being fake. Okay. Like my ideal client are the ones who are like, okay, I've been waiting for somebody like you. Thank you so much. I'm willing to, because when you take this course, it's 8 weeks plus on top of that, it's an 8-week 2-part program. And in those 8 weeks, and actually after that, if you guys need to, you will be able to have free 60-minute sessions with me. You'll be able to have free 60-minute sessions with me. So it's more than worth it. And it's actually being priced less because I want it to be affordable than what it should be. So it's a $1,200 course, right? And we meet weekly through Skype. So you're not just taking an online program, that you're doing through Thinkific or whatever like that. You're not just in, because which is I do use for right now until I find something else. But I'm with you. I'm guiding you all the way. So 60-minute sessions with me are usually $90, and you get, you can schedule one a week. So, or we can do collective group scheduling, where we all go. It's like, okay, we all need to talk about this because there's things that are coming up, right? So it's worth it. But one thing that the Most High taught me too is that sometimes when I think of poverty thinking, because I had to get out of the poverty mind where it's like, I grew up in that, well, we'll keep adding water to the beans. Right? So the beans have been cooked, but we just keep adding water, right? And that type of thing. And so I had to identify where my poverty thinking was coming from. And it's not that, because see, here's the thing too. We're in the world, but we're not of it. So anytime you raise, this is what I wanted to say in a nutshell. Anytime we're in the world but we're not of it. But anytime you raise your vibration, which is why a lot of people stop doing their own work, because when they find out that they are not like anybody else and they raise themselves so high that they start to become isolated, because people are like, I can't do that because I have too much invested in the world. Right? I can't get out of stocks and bonds because I have too much invested. I can't go into gold and silver and platinum or californium or whatever because I have too much invested in my, of regular, fiat dollars invested in my mutual funds or IRA or whatever they call it, right? So, and that's what turns people off. It's like, I don't want to be alone. I was just telling the Most High the other day. It's about we were talking. I recommend that you not only journal. Like I've said, journal 10 things that you're grateful for, no less. Journal 10 things that you've accomplished, or journal 10 things that you're grateful for. Journal 10 things that you've accomplished. Oh, and journal 10 things that you like about yourself. That's a must to keep your mind focused. right? And I recommend also having God talks. I talk to the Most High, God, like, hey, we need we this. I'm not feeling this. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm, you know what I mean? I have to check in. It's like, hey, if I'm continuing a pattern, then please let me know. But if this is a psychic attack, or if this is the attack of the enemy trying to arrest me, because one thing that I have found in my journey, right, which has been so frustrating, because I love you guys a lot, and I really, what I went through, I didn't go through for nothing, and I know that this is needed, right? But what I've had throughout my, since, I became homeless in 2017, and I can honestly, unequivocally say, then I have proof. I'm working on the documentary, but that's been sabotaged. So this is what narcs, who are pathologically jealous and envious of you, will do. They will sabotage your progress. And when we're taught, sometimes when they can't do it in the physical, by slandering you, by having flying monkeys, which AKA gang stalking, go after you and bully you and intimidate you and get you off your path, to it's a distraction. So when they can't have, when that doesn't work, then they will go for you in the spiritual. They will engage in witchcraft. I have had people send some tales of the crypt type of zombie demons, to me, and I have the gift of sight, for the most part, and amongst other things. So it's been very frustrating for them not to be able. So, when we say, okay, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, it's not necessary. If you've checked all the boxes and the Most High, confirmed with the Most High and your soul tribe, your spiritual tribe, then, and it's not you, then you need to start and when you advance in this program, when you advance in the Phoenix Rising Academy, and you do the first, and I start getting you guys into what are chakras, the mantras for certain specific situations in your life, okay, how fasting and being, eating clean, because to each his own. I'm not a nutritionist, but I just know what I do. And so, so at least if you're doing all this, is so that you can upgrade yourself on a spiritual level, right? Because right now, especially in 2023, I've been watching this. I've been feeling basically this transition, right? And it's really weird because, like I've said this before, it's like a fish being a fish in a fishbowl, or being a fish swimming in the sea, right? And you have all this debris that's around you. You have all the plankton, and you got all the the bottles and all the sewage from upstairs, up top, and you got all the plant life, and you got other fishes and things like this. And it's just like you're watching. It's like you're swimming through, you're swimming through, and then all of a sudden things start to change, right? The waters goes from murky to clearer, right? And I've been feeling that. So it's not that it's not coming, it's just, it truly is that the demonic entities are resisting. Because when you are dealing with cluster B personalities and demons, they don't want to give up their position. They are literally obsessed with having power that they have not earned. If I can get you, this is, as a business owner, if I could get my employees to work for $5 an hour, and to do, to work 60 hours a week, then hey, I'm saving, right? Because when we transition and our ships come in and we get into our purpose and we're financed and everything else, right? Because that's what's going to happen. They get left out. This is why the cluster B personality doesn't like being gray rocked. They don't like being gray rocked, because that means that you're cutting them off from a supply. You're cutting them off from attention, right? So, and they don't like that, which it doesn't matter. But so I'm just saying all that to say, remember that there are going to be times where you feel like I'm doing everything and you want to give up, but don't give up. Just keep, just, like Paul in the Bible said, when you've done all you can, stand. Because it's resistance. It's resistance. They're blocking. They're not blocking the blessing. They're resisting it. They're restraining it. I literally saw that from in my own life where I was supposed to do something. I was actually going to go towards my my kin is what I call my soulmate, my kin, and that was literally stopped. It was sabotaged. It was sabotaged. Right, there was blessings that were coming for healing, and because I put all this. So when there's a season for it, doesn't mean that it's not that God lied. God didn't lie, but God does not like to be made a liar. He's not a narcissist. They are not narcissists. They're not cluster B personalities. They're like, no, you did this. They're very logical. It's like, no, you did this, and this is the outcome, and we're grateful to give it to you. We're more than happy and love. We love you. So because you put in the work, we called you to do something. I was literally called, and I felt that. I was literally called, and I felt that. So anyway, do not get upset if it seems like your progress isn't progressing. It's not that it's not progressing, it's that they are resisting your change. They're restricting your change. And it's energy. When you realize it's all energy, they will put everything into, like a police officer, a racist police officer, a psychopathic, sadistic police officer of whatever gender will put all they have. They will stop. That's why they break laws, because they are going to put everything that they can into keeping you down so that you're not above them. Right? As a security guard myself, there are things I have to continue to remember, that I have to approach people not within my ego, but approach, because sometimes you get tired of people's crap, especially when you get the same client that comes in, do the same thing. No, sir, no, ma'am, you already know this. I'm not going to answer this. I don't want to do, you know what I mean? So, but I have to, we go by the calm, I have to keep calm. I have to talk to them with respect, talk in an understanding way. Gosh, that would make me mad, but this is policy. So if you could just bear with us, right? You learn to downplay it. It's not kissing butt, so to speak, but it's just, hey, I don't really want to deal with this. But when you're dealing with a cluster B personality and you get away, you've moved in like a thief in the night, a thief in the morning, right? You had your go bag and everything else ready. So when you go, and because we have to do that. We can't. And that's why every time I've dealt with one with a cluster B personality, when they've targeted me, every time I've dealt with one, the Most High and my spiritual team is like, okay, you got to leave quiet. Because if they know that you're going, they're going to try and stop you. They're going to create havoc. And in some cases that can be very, it can have dire consequences. Right. So, don't sleep on yourself. I have to keep reminding myself, you went through all of that, Tennille. You went through all of that. I mean, I literally had these guys trying to kill me because they knew that I was moving. They knew that the Most High was transitioning. And it's not an exaggeration. They've tried to kill me for the last 5 years. And I was still in my God talk. I was telling the Most High, it's like, I still have not allowed a lot of that to set in. When I did, it was almost as if I set myself on fire. I was so in a rage at what somebody was doing to me for no provocation. Right. Okay. So, all right. If you guys will excuse me, hold on just a moment here. Let's see here. Hold on for me just a moment. Take a potty break. Vinasirning Om Sapa. Always. Okay. All right, Phoenix is rising. Sorry, I'm back. If you heard me chanting, that was because sometimes when I start these, I get attacked. That's like I said, you can remove, you can do everything, you can remove, you can cleanse, but if especially if you are like prime rib, like if you're a lobster, dinner, and they really want to get to you, and they're really jealous because you have a presence and they don't. So anyway, I'm going to read this article by Pathological Envy of Narcissists Reveals How Powerful Their Victims Are by Shahida Arabi. Did too many buys, and the reason why I like her and I want to give her credit for what she does because I've been reading her books. Go check her out. She is totally on Amazon and Kindle, and she does have some audiobooks, and she is highly intelligent and highly knowledgeable about this. And I love the kind of cinematic way, I guess, that she describes it. She's very, very very artistic. She has a very artistic. I at a little bit of a loss for words, but for describe it. But it's beautiful writing that she does. She's very succinct, but very passionate about what she's talking about. And she just graduated, I think, from Yale. So anyway, I'm on her website. This is on a website called the Thought Catalog. But she actually has a website that I probably should have put down. It's the selfcarehaven.wordpress.com. I'm not sure if that's still it, but she's also the author of Power, Surviving and Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse, and a book of poetry, She Who Destroys the Light. So, so she's a thought writer from Thought Catalog. So it's this very short article. Let me get to it because it describes again. So my situation, which brought me, and I have the tools to deal with it. And this lady basically got told to sit down. But we'll go in this, and I'll take breaks to discuss what I think needs to be discussed. Abusers. So the pathological envy of narcissists reveals how powerful their victims are. Abusers manipulate victims because they enjoy the feelings of power and control, not because victims themselves lack merits. Okay, that's what I was telling you about. Just because you don't see progress in your spiritual walk, it's 9 times out of 10. Like I said, if you've done your check with the Most High and you've done the check with your spiritual tribe, and everything you check out all the boxes, it's not you. It's that your progress is being literally resisted. Okay. In fact, narcissistic abusers feel particular joy at bringing down anyone whose accomplishments and traits they envy to reinforce their false sense of superiority. Okay. And that's from the book Power, Surviving and Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse by Shahida Arabi. Okay. So here continues. Out of all the manipulative tactics and forms of coercion and control a malignant narcissistic abuser subjects us to, the pathological envy of a narcissist is one that of the most baffling and devastating experiences of the narcissistic abuse experience. We often cannot fathom that a loved one, whether a friend, a family member, or significant other, would ever want to sabotage our success, undermine our joy, or belittle our accomplishments. Yet, this horrifying aspect of a narcissist diagnostic criteria is even noted in the DSM-5, which states that not only are narcissists envious of others, they believe others to be envious of them. And the only thing that when I first read the article, I said it out loud to myself, but the only thing that I would change there is that, or not change at all, but I would add is that I don't think that they think that people are envious of them, but they want people to be envious of them because they're envious of you. They're envious of you because of your accomplishments. They can't accomplish that because it's not in their nature. They can mimic accomplishments, but they know that they have gotten it by guile. They have gotten it by being toxic. They're not authentic. You are authentic. So they will keep you, like I've had my YouTube channel for a year and I have had it blocked. As far as this, it's, you know, I've done everything. It's like I said, okay, I'm going to keep posting, but I'm not going to put in too much extra effort until this person is literally, you know, arrested in the spiritual and in the physical, because they're still envious and they don't want me telling what, you know, sharing, because when you share, you release yourself from their hold, right? So narcissists' pathological envy arises from their need to be the best, their excessive sense of entitlement to be into being the center of attention at all times, with the most fame, wealth, and status. Any threat to their grandiose delusions of grandeur will result in a narcissistic injury, meaning that they've gotten their ego bruised, and inevitably narcissistic rage, which means that they will throw a big baby temper tantrum, and but they, you know, being adult, they will use physical violence, they will use threats, they will use damaging property and all this other kind of stuff. This is why narcissists tend to be pompous critics, usually incapable of the same efforts they criticize in others. The success of others evokes their pathological envy, reminding them of what they lack and could never achieve themselves. As a result, they will do anything and everything everything possible to minimize the accomplishments of those who threaten their false sense of grandiosity and superiority. I will say this because I've had, again, this is what I've been speaking on within my personal journey. I have had my fitness sabotaged. I have had my building of my brand and business sabotaged. Because when you don't have the money, or when and see, what I know to do is that it's not you purposely, consciously sabotaged me. So this is when you get to that level, once you've done your work with me, Phoenixes, when you get to that level where you can declare and decree, this is a debt that you owe me. I calculated it. It's written. Like Chihuti, it's written. It's written what you've done. This is a bill that you owe me, right? And it doesn't take away from my frustration because I have a purpose. So what they want to do is to wear you out and wear you down so that you stop. Okay? Because they're in a rage. I have been beat up in the spiritual realm, somebody using a voodoo doll or my image or you know, an effigy of some sort of me, and literally beating me up. They would attack my sacral chakra, because they, you know, once that's attacked, then, you know, I can't digest, I can't do this, so it screwed up my fitness. They were mad because I lost belly fat. They were mad because I was toning up. So I was gaining more lean muscle mass and toning up and losing the stress fat. So yes, as a result, they will do anything and everything possible to minimize your accomplishments. They will get you to second guess. It's like, okay, well, why don't I have enough viewers? Why don't I have enough followers? Because that demonic entity that was attached to thee has still not been destroyed. You know, and sometimes, Phoenixes, you have to call in your spiritual heavy hitters. I've had to call in some assassins, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I was like, hey, this person has been doing this for 8 years, right? And it's weird because it's not that you're constantly attaching yourself to or going towards cluster B personalities. They exist in the world. It's their nature, right? It's their nature to do what they're doing. So, and sometimes it's, hey, you got to level up just a little bit more. You got to get faith. You got to, when you get out of it, because see, I used to be like this too. And we'll go on to the next part. But I used to be like this too, where I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do anything bad to anybody because of my Christian beliefs, right? So I was like, okay, I don't want to go too deep. I wish them well. I still wish them well. And so here, now that I've matured and I've grown up, that little child inside of me, it's not that I wish, because now I'm a super empath. I'm not a baby empath. And actually, I'm more than an empath. Right? So when you level up, you get to understand, okay, I'm an empire. You're treading on my territory. You're keeping me from increasing my territory in the spiritual and in the physical realms. So that means that you have to be dealt with. You've broken the restraining order too many times. All right. So now when you come into my home, I can shoot you on sight. The wonders of having our spiritual gifts, Phoenixes, is that we can tell the plans of the enemy because we hear it over the frequency. I heard these people plotting and planning to break into my hotel room at where we lived before, to break into my hotel room and kill me and the dogs and have, or have me sex trafficked or run a train on me. We all know what that's about, trigger warning. Because in their eyes, I was arrogant. And she gets into this. Initially, narcissists and otherwise toxic people may claim to be very happy for your success. Yes, during the idealization and love bombing phases of the relationship. They may even excessively congratulate, praise, and flatter you. They may use you as a trophy to show off to others, gaining status and prestige from simply being associated with you. I had a cluster B personality I call ogre. And if you go through my other podcast discussions, you guys will hear about her. But one of the things that she would do, and she was totally grooming me. And she went right into it too. It wasn't like, it was like she had already planned and been waiting for the right moment. And I did find out later that, she was involved in the gang stalking. She was the cause of the gang stalking. She was also the cause of me being homeless. Right. And when you understand that witchcraft, when people use witchcraft, the whole thing is to influence you energetically to take a different route than what you were divinely told to do. This is why it's so important to clean out your spiritual pipes and to all do your spiritual practice regularly in the morning, 30 minutes at least. When I wake up, I am chanting mantras. Sometimes I will say the Psalms prayers. But as long as I'm chanting mantra, I know that my words are not returning unto me void, right? And then I will get new ones, right? And there's not a conflict of interest. There are many. There's basically what they have done is they have fragmented and made fragmented spirituality and made it a religion. They have compartmentalized what was whole. Now, if that's not cluster B, narcissist, malignant narcissist, I don't know what is, right? So anyway, but this person would parade me around and she was like, well, come with me. She would always demand something. And not that I would take it. I would like, don't talk to me like that. I mean, and there was always, because I'm not, and the thing of it is being honest with yourself, being honest with myself. I've realized, see, it doesn't matter. You can get mad. You can get in a rage even. Right? But it's righteous. It's spiritually righteous. It's not because you're doing it to try and bully somebody to take something from them that you haven't earned. You're territorial over your empire. You're territorial over your land, which is you. You are a whole universe. And here comes a foreign entity, a foreign ship trying to dock without permission. So anyway, she would parade me around just because it was my energy. And she would never tell me what it was for, of course, because they're always in their mind calculating and scheming. The only thing they want from you is to be obedient to them because they believe that they are God. I actually had this woman tell me, this child molester, sex trafficker, drug dealer, Notaños, tell me that she was God telepathically. I'm God. right? Because she kept doing witchcraft on me and it wasn't working. And I finally heard her say, I'm God. Okay, well, let God know that, because you're about ready to get your ass handed to you in so many different dimensions. God does not like to be made a fool of. All right. So they may use you as a trophy to show off to others, gain status and prestige. So basically, she was going to be the one to groom me, to break me like a horse. And so that's why she would demanded that I go around her complex with her. I just want people to see that you're with me. That's exactly what she said, but I'm not with you. And that's what I told her. I said, I'm not with you though. You know, and she gave me this evil look like, how dare you speak to me? How dare you contradict me? Right? Okay. So they have no problem in benefiting from your wealth, your reputation, and your various assets as the relationship moves forward, which doesn't mean that you have to be, because I was never in an intimate, girlfriend relationship, with these people. So you don't have to be in it's just an association, basically. They have no problem in benefiting from your health, your wealth, your reputation, and your various assets. As the relationship moves forward, however, their need to devalue their victims kicks in, and their pathological envy and competitiveness becomes more and more apparent. Yes, what was once a subtle look of contempt at the sight of your success soon becomes hour-long arguments bashing every aspect of your identity, your dreams, your goals, and any source of joy outside the realm of narcissist control. And that's what it was. When this person picked me up from the streets of Sacramento that I had been on for 3 days with my fur base, carrying my duffel bag and the backpack around with us, wandering aimlessly, not knowing where to go, right? Trying to stay close to where our old home used to be because it was familiar. That she she began grooming me. She was like, okay, well, she was like, well, you got to get a job, like she was trying to make it sound like, hey, I'm not trying to be mean, but you really got to get a job. I'm like, I'm with it. But I noticed that she never confirmed or denied anything. Right. Anytime I was like, saying, okay, yeah, I can do this and I do this and I do this, it was always denial. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just met me, dude. How do you know what I do and what I don't do? Right? Like I could have showed her diplomas and certificates and she would have still said no, right? Because they're denying that you exist because it's painful for them. Right? So when I got a job, right, she was jealous of that. And I didn't know, but she worked with witchcraft on the manager of the Dollar Tree that now I know it was witchcraft. Before I was like, okay, I was literally scheduled for 40 hours. I was working like 32, something like that, but not a lot. Right. And I was like, I need more hours. I need more hours. I need more hours. But I could feel the energy where she was trying to dominate. She was trying to control. She was always whether she was in the physical or in the spiritual, she was always monitoring me. And this is when I learned about fragmented spirits, right? Like when we come out of the spiritual battle with a narcissist, right? And we escape, it's when we're fragmented. Pieces of us are fragmented because that's the pieces that they were attacking. We now need to mend and heal. Let's say you have a car, right? And somebody comes in. There was a thing on TikTok about this guy in some place, and he had road rage fits, and he was attacking motorists, and he was using a crowbar to ding their vehicles or bust out their windows or mirrors or whatever, right? So it's like you still are what you are. You just have to heal sections of yourself so that you can work better, so that you can work more fluid, more in tune, right? So so that was my experience with it, is where she literally was sabotaging me, and then you trying to have me ran over when I was on my way to work. It was very crazy making. And the reason why it was crazy making is because I never talked to this woman. She never wanted to talk. She wanted to talk at me, not have a discussion. Like, she never asked me anything personal about myself. And I realized that she was astral projecting and remote viewing. She was using witchcraft. Right? When you have the ability to astral project because of whatever traumas that have gone on, or just because you've learned how to do it, right? You astral project. So people's like, astral projecting, there's nothing wrong. No, there is a lot wrong with it, because you're still going to, if people don't know that you're speaking, I've heard people, and it's not schizophrenia or anything. I know my mind. I'm very strong-minded, which is why she did not succeed in getting me ran over on 3 different occasions. You would be amazed when somebody puts all that energy in there. There was a guy who took a picture of my dog, and so trigger warning here, you guys, and I'm not going to be too detailed, but animals are essayed as well. Like I said, when they can't get to you in the physical, they will go after your kids. They will go after your finances. They will go after anything that means anything to you. My purpose means a lot to me. And I spent 3 years on the streets to learn to travel to get to the higher me. And another 2 years to build, to teach other people how to get to their higher selves. And each time I've dealt with sabotage. Each time, I mean, like, not just, this has been spiritual sabotage. I have had people hang me with a noose in the spiritual realm. I have had people, as I've said before, beat me up. I have had people take a picture of my babe so that they could essay her. Because their intention, this is why I said, when you get to know your own mind, imagination is key, because you got to see yourself. They saw them, because people are doing it for evil. These cluster B gang stalkers and their flying monkeys violated my baby girl because they're sick. They imagined themselves doing perversities to her, to the point so hard, so intense, that I had to get her, because she was doing something. I said, that's not it. That's not it. We ain't doing that. You don't touch my daughter. I don't care if she's a canine or not. You don't touch her. So it behooves you, if they're doing it for evil, we got to do it for good. See, and one thing I've realized too is that many of these guys, while they're dealing with pathological envy and jealousy, they can't do it because, see, they're creating just like we create. They're creating evil. Anytime you create something, you need to be able to focus. So they throw us their distractions so that we can't create. How many a wife has said, well, I'm taking care of the kids, I'm taking care of the house, I'm paying the bills, and I have to sleep with you, and I don't have time for my own stuff. I don't have time for my dreams and my goals. I have a coworker right now who's like, you know what, I'm looking for a remote job so that I can focus on my business, to work for myself. A lot of people, in order to break in that situation, in order to break away, I've thought about it. A lot of people have to literally just like, we're done. I've recently came to that conclusion, so it's 2-part. It's you, it's you making a declaration or decree or petition to the universe saying, hey, I am tired of living this way. I don't want to work around people, because there's too many people in when you're working in a corporate or I'm not really in corporate. But when you're working around other people, I've found, and you're our light worker and they can feel it, right? Like I have a coworker who, which is what's inspired to go through this pathological envy again of narcissists, is because this woman, I cut her off because she was saying the same things over and over again and thinking that it was funny. And I said, it's not funny. I was like, if you see me, I'm here to relieve you. I'm here. I'm on duty. Obviously, everybody else sees that I'm here, And she would always say, "Oh, are you ready?" Well, after 2 months of it, come on, you already know the answer to that. And I was just being nice. It wasn't really funny. But that was a narcissistic wound for her. She felt that, and she was embarrassed because other people were there. So for 3 weeks. Actually, no, for a month, this woman has tried to isolate me and bully me and slander me and da-da-da-da. Okay, so it didn't work. But that's her jealousy. She wanted to hang on to me. She wanted to hang on to my energy. And that was a way of me forcing me to engage. She had me written up, which she should not have had any influence on it. But because she was mad, was having me written up. But she doesn't have any say. She is a guard just like me. She was not a supervisor, a leader, a captain, any of that. She's just been there for a long time. Right? But in her mind, she's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. She's not the first employee. So it's like, okay, I'm done with working now. It's like, I'm tired of being sabotaged. Right? So sometimes we got to get tired of being sick and tired, but it's okay. It's okay. But yes, so they will sabotage. Like I had this woman trying to kill me while saying, "Oh, good job. Yeah, you know, da 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 da." Right? And she wouldn't really say that because that wasn't in her nature. She would say, "Oh, good job," but you could see it in her eyes because she had these eyes. I don't know if you guys have seen people who always look like a deer in their headlights, and I think that's a karma. That's some karma. You know, if you always look like a deer in the headlights where their eyes are just wide for no flipping reason, right? You're looking around like, why are you scared? You know, like one of those. And that's how she looks. And it's very sinister and it's very evil and it's very predatory. So how she thinks on the inside is now reflecting on the outside. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So let's continue reading real quick. So many people, did I do that? Initially, narcissists and otherwise toxic people may claim to be very happy for your success during the idealization and love bombing phases of the relationship. They may even excessively congratulate, praise, and flatter you. They may use you as a trophy to show off to others, gaining status and prestige from simply as being associated with you. They have no problem in benefiting from your wealth, your reputation, and various assets. As the relationship moves forward, however, they need to devalue their victims. Their need to devalue their victims kicks in, and their pathological envy and competitiveness becomes more and more apparent. What was once a subtle look of contempt at the sight of your success soon becomes hour-long arguments bashing every aspect of your identity, your dreams, your goals, and any source of joy outside the realm of the narcissist's control. Yeah, because I know in doing this Phoenix's Rising Academy, I had my trademark sabotaged. I had a lot of things sabotaged. I had my self-esteem, tapped in, because before the channel was doing really good, and now I'm surprised that I have 123 subscribers, and I really absolutely love you guys and appreciate you guys. I thank you so much for your support. And there's going to be better times to come. So because you guys have stood by me, and I thank you for all your comments. I thank you for getting other people to subscribe and ringing the bell so that you're notified when I post again. So what many people don't realize is that the narcissists don't just gravitate toward us because of our vulnerabilities. This was the money maker right here. This was a gem. They are also attracted to our assets, okay, spiritual and physical. And I will I would tell you something about this succubus. This is why I said, when you are a lesbian, do not think that everything is cool and clear, because there's not going, especially if you are a heyoka, if you are a supernatural being. These women are broken and fragmented to seemingly beyond repair. You cannot love anybody to health. You can lead them to water, but if they don't drink, they don't drink. They're not gonna, you know what I mean? You can't make them drink. You can't make people change their lives. And we say, okay, well, I understand. But yeah, I used to do that, or I used to go through that, or I don't want to be alone. That's what it really is with lesbians, because a lot of people, a lot of lesbians, they know that they're lesbians, but they get into heterosexual relationships because they're more common, they're more plentiful, and they're more natural. You know what I mean? It's not that they're natural, but it feels that you're not going to get the pressure from society to convert, or people aren't going to be telling you that you're going to hell and stuff. And that kind of stuff has died down, but do not be fooled. All right. Anything you, and not because they can exploit those assets for narcissistic supply. And not only, okay, so what many people don't realize is that narcissists don't just gravitate towards us because of our vulnerabilities. They are also attracted to our assets, and not only because they can exploit those assets for narcissistic supply. Anything you achieve or gain joy from stirs this envy within them, and an inexplicable need to win or one up you at all costs. It is absolutely bizarre when you have somebody in your energy, like, let's say, because these are not just relationships. Sometimes you don't have to be in a relationship with somebody, but imagine the husband or the wife who is jealous of their husband or their wife, who is, doing, succeeding, and they're happy and they're confident, right? Confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance is thinking that you can change somebody's destiny by doing some spells. Arrogance is thinking that you can change somebody's soul purpose, or block somebody from their spiritual kin, keep them from being happy because you're mad. I have had pure strangers who have been pissed off because I was beaming so bright, because I was happy and I was filled with the love of the Most High, and some people call it the Holy Spirit. That it literally, their demons were disrupted, because when they get scared, they're like, okay, like the pigs and the demons inside the pigs. They said to Issa, what do we have to do with you, Jesus of Nazareth? You've come before the time. So they knew, right? It's always in divine timing, but they also knew, hey, we're not supposed to be here. But they will to imagine these demons talking out of these pigs. And people want to say that you're crazy because you see the spirituality behind the Satanism behind cluster B personalities. It's a given. Anything you achieve or gain joy from stirs this envy within them, and an inexplicable need to win or one up you at all costs. So that's what I was saying too. So my experience has been that people who you don't even know are in, like, I don't know my coworker. One of my coworkers, this is not too bad, but I thought, oh my God, you got narcissistic characteristics, and where she was like, oh yeah, I'm ahead of you. Because we go around and we scan, and you get ranked, and I'm ranked a pretty decent rank out of all the people who are there and all the days, and so but then the next thing I knew, she was like bringing it up, and I'm like, okay, like, dude, this is not a competition. But they will turn things that are into a competition that aren't a competition. Understand, let that sink. Cluster B personalities, the narcissist, will turn things into, and it's all the whole cocktail that I already mentioned. Okay. So it's not just that they have this. That's why people get duped and they don't know how to handle them. You are dealing with a being that is housing a cocktail of 8 demons. If you guys have ever watched Full Metal Alchemist, they all have different characteristics. That's why you can never like peg it down. Like and you can't heal it. You have to just get the hell away from it. Right? Anything you achieve, okay. It also represents a threat to their control over you. Yes. After all, if you are gaining happiness and validation from somewhere outside of the narcissist, this means you don't need them. This strengthens their desire to destroy us and our success in every way possible, so that they can isolate us from other sources of validation while demeaning the very core of who you are. And I have to say, when I left that woman's home, me and my dogs, and you can go hear the story where she tried to take them out, me and my dogs, and this is a person who's supposedly a dog lover, but she'll fight them, and she'll allow people to essay them and sacrifice them. That's what a lot of these animal kill shelters are for. The Satanists love it, just like pedo loves to work in daycare. They go they have a hunting ground, right? But this woman, when I got on the streets, I finally just said, okay, I can't rely on anybody. The love that I would have given people, and the home that I had given to people was not what, and here I am, I'm being it wasn't that this was the Most High, it was that this was the environment, this was a demonic, this was a den of demons, right? So there, the narcissist is not, does not take lightly when you move on from them, because that means they don't have control over you. If they don't have control over you, you're going to get a higher self-esteem than what they have. You're going to renew your mind. You're going to get somebody that actually loves you, and they won't be able to drain it. It's not that they don't have people around them that love them. They don't care anything about love. They don't have the capacity to love. You can't serve two masters. What they have the capacity to do is siphon, though. And I was going to say earlier, there, when in the article, Shahida Arabi says that they are concerned with your assets and how they use your assets. Well, I had a succubus who was over me, who's, astral projecting, remote viewing, and I felt her presence. But at the time, I didn't know she was a succubus. I hadn't had experience with a succubus. But I noticed that and I would hear her, it's like, well, check your bank account. I heard them say other things too, like, I want to have this experience with you. Da, 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 da. I remember, with her, when she was rejected, she was still having a relationship with me in her mind. Again, the power of intention. My intention is to have you fall in love with me, sexually dominate you. So she was doing love domination spells. You're not going to dominate me. I have been single for over 30 years, just about. You're not going to dominate me. It's not going to happen. But she was more focused on my bank account and how much I made. And then I actually heard her, being clairaudient, heard her say, when I was talking to her, so this is what I'm saying, they can tap out and tap back in. They can have multiple conversations, but they're talking to you. But I heard what she said. She said, I'm going to get you to heal me, and I'm going to get you to pay me $1,000. Like, she just threw out the number. Like, I'm going to get you to pay me $1,000. Because back then I was able to save a lot of money because I was making a lot of money. So in order to move and transition and to, get back to the Most High and get clear and to start healing, I had to move, which meant that I had to take an $8 cut. I mean, literally an $8 cut in pay. And now I'm having to do this all over again. And, it seems like it's going backwards, but I had to save my life. Nothing is ever what it seems, right? So I have to pray, God, Most High God, let me see myself as you see me. Right. So when you get out of someone, getting away from this woman, my own experience with this woman, because she was still having a relationship in her mind, they don't take no for an answer. So she didn't ask me out on a date. She didn't do anything. She just basically, I'm in a relationship. We're in a relationship, and you're going to take whatever I'm giving. What kind of person does that? You're treating somebody and I remembered saying to myself when I was living with her, it feels like I'm in a relationship and I didn't ask to be. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an intimate relationship. And I would feel her presence. We're sitting in two different rooms, but I would always feel her hovering. So the succubus was focused on my bank account and really thought that arrogantly, and still to this day, still to this day, you have to remember, with cluster B personalities, with the narcissistic socio-psychopath, they're delusional. And they hide within, and it's not really that they're hiding. They have to be delusional. You have to be delusional to think that somebody that you just meet that has shown no attraction to you, they're not attracted to you. So you're forcing them. So what does that mean? That's that's assault. But and these are women. This is why I'm saying women can be, lesbian relationships can have this type of trauma just like heterosexual relationships, where you have somebody forcing you to have sex with them against your will. Stalking you spiritually, having people keep an eye on you. That's crazy, right? So the starry-eyed admirer. So when this lady, she was sabotaging me while I was on the streets. She would have people do things that, and say certain phrases that I heard her say, so I would know that the flying monkeys had been sent by her. But when I stopped caring, because it's like, what am I going to, what? So you gave me money. Doesn't mean that I'm prostituting, right? But in her mind, sometimes these cluster B personalities, they're no longer able to tell fact from fiction. They've been doing it for so long, right? So she sabotaged me the whole way, but I didn't get everything that God had in store for me, but my spiritual progress was intact. And so the Most High finally was like, you got to move, because if you don't, they're going to take drastic measures. It's kind of like, when somebody has they're trying to break down a gate. And I don't know what the ram, they have a battering ram. They're trying to break down the gate, right? And they keep going, they run up and they kind of tap it a little bit. It's like, I don't know what's behind there, but we sure got to, just like when they were trying to get in, break in and do unthinkable things to me in my my hotel, right? So it's and so the Most High had to move us, because it's like, okay, I'm getting ready, and that area is now flooding. That area is now flooding. So here I'm energetically at a distance, right? And also I have already, my resolve is I'm not going to put up with any more psychic attacks. I'm not going to put up with any more witchcraft, right? I'm just not going to put up with it at all. And so when the universe knows that, on top of that, you not willing to put up with anybody else's crap, now they're going in, because the Most High already showed, will show you, like, okay, because I had to ask, like, Most High, are you here? Mama, are you here? Ancestors, are you here? I know a couple of my guides by name. Are you here? And I get that confirmation. So anyway, the starry-eyed admiration followed by anger and envy is a classic case of the type of crazy making you're likely to encounter in a narcissist once in the devaluation and discard phases of the relationships. Whatever happens, they seem to project in the idealization stage is merely a facade for the deep contempt they feel for anyone they feel threatened by. And I have to say, well, this person was a DJ. Don't know if she still does it. Don't keep track. Like I said, I don't come after her, and I wish that she would stop trying to come after me. But that's not what narcissists do. They're going to still come after you no matter what. So she was a DJ, and she would sit there. And what was really, see, this is why you got to deal with your resentments. Sorry, she was a DJ, and I got to get closer to the mic. She was a DJ, and she would, she would talk about other DJs. Because why? They were competition for her. Because she was basically, she said, I've been doing this for 18 years. And I thought, well, you're pretty low quality. Because she didn't even know the basics. But so a lot of times what you'll do is you'll enhance them. They'll take your criticism, even though it's a wound to their ego. They'll take your criticism and they'll go and figure out how to do it. But you've been a DJ for 18 years, and all she does is play the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. She said because they like it, but they're bored of it. Right? They're bored of it. But so basically she would criticize other people because they were in direct competition with her. But let somebody come back and say something to her. Point out some facts, right? Anyway, whatever happiness they seem to project in the idealization stage is merely a facade for the deep contempt signs of pathological envy in a malignant narcissist can include someone who praises you highly for your accomplishments initially, uses your accomplishments as a way to associate themselves with you and look good. Feels like likes feeling as if they have the successful girlfriend or boyfriend while simultaneously resenting you for it. Competes with you often. If you bring up what you achieved, they have to bring up in something bigger or downgrade what you've achieved to make you feel small. Nothing you do is truly special or impressive, or it's really, really special until the narcissist gets tired of praising you and wants to cut you down 1,000 pegs or so, right? And so here's this kind of segues into or brings up the coworker who's in the same position that I am. She's of no lead, has no lead position, gets paid the same, right? So, but she gains power over people by obsessing over whether they should be written up or not, right? So she's always like, "Well, we have this problem." No, there's no problem for you. You see, as when you're working in security as dispatch, I am supposed to make sure that the guards are where they're supposed to be, right? So the outside guards, you're patrolling the way that you're supposed to patrol. But in this situation, that you have other people who are leads for that outside. So sometimes what they don't see, because I'm looking at cameras, right, and they rotate positions. So I just bring to their attention what it is that they may not see, and then they get on it. That's it. But this woman literally, because she was mad at me because I had rejected and I don't even know what to call it, rejecting her sayings, or trying to make me a character or whatever, right? Because I'd reject, because that's all that happened. She, and one of the other guys had said to me, he goes, because she had taken over or come in for some overtime, and he worked the night shift. And he had said, you better be careful. You better start recording everything that she's saying, because she's hell bent on getting to you. And I mean, that's exactly what he said. He said, she is obsessed with you. She's really, and that is what she does. She obsesses. It's not normal. COVID really mutated. If you didn't get the viral shot, COVID really mutated some people. Hazel. Okay. COVID really brought people's deep, darkest, maybe fears, maybe character defects, whatever they'd been hiding. Because I had noticed that about her when I first started. I said, oh gosh, this woman seems to be so obsessed. Like, she could sit there and stare at the camera. I'm looking around. And then when my intuition says, see, look into the camera. See, that's a good thing about being a spiritual person. I don't need to obsess about anything, right? Because once I get focused and I stay still, I can see without seeing. Right. So, I mean, it's a way of, it's kind of like multitasking. But this woman, and I remember her telling me they're not supposed to do that. And she would be so obsessed with it to the point of aggression. So she had been so obsessed with me to the point of aggression that she wanted to make sure that she was in my space. So, so anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Ugh, over it. Highly competitive in and any and every context, will be a sore loser in recreational games, sports, or other activities, and resort to immature actions to win or insult your ability. Yep. Will accuse you of being arrogant should you happen to share your happiness or present a healthy confidence in your abilities. They are, in fact, projecting their own sense of arrogance onto you. Behind closed doors, or sometimes even out in the open, devalues and minimizes the things they once praised, making them seem unimportant and lacking, because they know they would have never been able to accomplish those things themselves. Okay, so behind closed doors and sometimes in the open, they will devalue and minimize the things they once praised, making them seem unimportant now and lacking, because they know they would have never been able to accomplish those things themselves, right? So my gang stalkers would never have been able to accomplish by themselves, mind you, because where I was, the Norteños made them be on the streets, because that's where they sell the drugs. And it's good cover to pretend like you're homeless. Everybody has a backpack. They were moving weight. They were moving fentanyl. They were moving Oxycontin. They were moving it. And then some of them were even posing. I got pictures of them. Some of them were even posing as Christians feeding the homeless. Come on now. They will emphasize the idea that people are against you, that your contribution isn't valuable or degrade, ignore accomplishments that are in fact a big deal, with an innocent or smug look on their face. I remember when the one of the cluster bees, the narcissist, said, she said, because I was frustrated, I wasn't able to find, because as long as I had the dogs, it was hard for me to get housing. And it was really because that it felt like that environment was just totally, we want to break you down. You still left with something, which means that you still have hope. You still have something to live for. We want to crush you completely. And I remember her saying once, I said, gosh, I can't find anything, and it's like, they keep telling me this and that. And she's like, you complain too much. And the look on her, she said it, and she stared at me and she was great. It's kind of like a snarl, right? This woman had a beastly face, like literally a demonic beastly face. She was always chewing on something. And she had you could tell it was, I have an overbite. I think most people do have like a slight overbite. I have a bit of an overbite. But this lady was like had a Bart Simpson kind of like overbite, right? Like a Barney Simpson overbite. And, she was always chewing on something. So every time, but she stared at me when just getting excited about like how it would crush me, the shock that she would say something like that. Right. But that was meant to silence me, because she sure as hell wasn't helping, right? So sabotages important events. Yes, this is what I was talking about before. This is what I experienced. Sabotaging my business, sabotaging my trademark, sabotaging my bank account, sabotaging, like literally I had people even going as far as to hold and steal my mail. Sabotages important events in your life, such as big interviews, projects, dealings, using methods like put downs, crazy making arguments that lead to sleep deprivation, pressuring you to spend time with them right beforehand, insulting you, covertly casting doubt onto your abilities and talents, one-upping you and making themselves seem more important, accomplished, and talented to stroke their sense of superiority. Treat your goals and dreams and interests with contempt or a condescending attitude, while bringing the conversation back to them. Okay. So last part, she says, it is always helpful to keep in mind that a narcissist will often deny they are envious. And the lady at my job, with no status whatsoever to say anything to me, should not have even been, it's on camera that she violated my personal space. Nobody wanted to look into it. So every time they wrote me up, I said, I refuse. Unless this person gets written up, I'm not signing anything. And I got tired, you know what I mean, of going to work fearing what I was going to be, because that's a part of gaslighting. So she was manipulating people who had the ability to write me up. The last write up was, oh, you didn't do such and such. And I said, but you saw me in here. So why are you telling me that I didn't do it? Now because before they were trying to guise it, now it was apparent. And when you keep looking at the person, and it's like the person who, it's just, I really still to this day, I get so tired because it's so childish. It's so childish, these people, when you're working with them. It's so childish, let alone being in relationships with them, right? Like like, of course we get worn down because we're not as sharp, because these guys are dumb as doornails. They just mirror. They sound nice, but they can't back it up, right? So anyway, they strive very hard to hide their own envy, not just from their victims, but from themselves, to the point of delusion. See? Their false sense of superiority and haughty contempt often accompanies their put down, subtle digs, minimizing statements, and demeaning insults, all of which serve to belittle the victim and make the victim ashamed of succeeding or feeling joy of creating new connections, or of flourishing or thriving and owning their power to create a beautiful life. All right. to resist internalizing the verbal garbage a narcissist may spew at you out of their envy, remember the following. If someone expresses rage and contempt towards you for daring to be proud of yourself with a healthy level of pride, of course, of loving yourself, your life, and your accomplishments, the problem is not you, it is them. I had this woman coming after me because I was fit, and she would say, "Oh, you're losing too much weight," because she still thought that we were in a relationship. And she targets women because she feels that if you are a fat person, that you have a low self-esteem, or that's the way you should feel. She did not like women who had too high of a self-esteem or too much power over her. And may I remind everybody, as I've talked to before, what was really interesting was that this person was in a relationship. And that's what I mean. Like, see, these guys get so delusional because they don't take rejection, they don't respect boundaries, and they believe that they are superior to other people, that they will continue to do what they had already set out to do. Like the woman at my work, she was like, "Well, no, I want to have this type of interaction. I don't know what to call it." Where she would say, "Are you ready now?" Every single day. Every time I got to the point where I started getting anxiety to come in. "Are you ready now?" And I would say, "Do you see me here?" I said, "It's not funny." And I told her, "You say the same thing every day." That was her narcissistic wound. Imagine trying to take somebody's job. You're trying to punish me when you have no authority, but you've been here longer than me. So you're going to influence these other people, and you're going to get a lawsuit on you. For the company's going to be in a lawsuit, but you want to hide, you want to stonewall me. And I told them so, but it got me. And so in situations like this, Phoenixes, this is the step 4, which is grow. I saw in myself that I am not going to run. If you were going to take me down, if you were going to force me to have to find another job and go and put me in a state of anxiety or whatever, whatever, then I am not going to capitulate. There's not, I mean, you know what I mean? But because I was like, okay, yeah, I can feel, maybe I should just know. It's like, no, it's not my battle. This is a person who is character disturbed. She's character disturbed, right? So she was using them. I would tell them every time, I am a grown woman. I will not be bullied. This woman violated my personal space. She literally got into my space and was aggressive when she thought nobody was looking, but she saw the field supervisor. And see, at this job, nobody says anything, even though they witness it right straight. I mean, they saw it with their own eyes. And everybody refuses to go to the cameras. This is my job. So I said, if you're not going to write her up, I'm not, because it's not, I'm not going to sign a contract that I have done something when I haven't. Well, yeah, she did that. And I know the way that they were talking about it was, they were minimizing it. Well, yeah, we understand. No, you don't understand. And so the second time they wrote me up, I said, look, you guys still have not looked at those cameras, because until now you're getting on me because I did something that I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it the way that she wanted to. So she gave herself away because it became personal. It was evident at that last write-up that it was personal. See, the Most High is good. We just have to have patience. And like I said, when you get to know and live from your authentic self, you get to know God and you get to live with God. So me being my authentic self, and honestly, to be honest with you, in hindsight, I was like, where did all that come from? But also I also recognize that the Most High God was giving me cues. There's sometimes you won't be talking to somebody. All of a sudden, when that person talks to you, that's something that's when you should listen. Because God will talk to you. Your soul tribe will talk to you just like the devil talks to you. Through people who are open. Okay. So anyway, so that's how I knew this. Like, the problem is you, it's not me, and I'm standing my ground. You're not going to bully me. Now, I mean, she's still immature. She's still childish. She's still treating it like it's high school. It's been a few days. I mean, and that's why I knew it was like the Most High was for me, because I started getting all this overtime. It's like, so that's why I said at the beginning of this discussion that there's a transition that we're all going through. So please hang on. If you can't take any more and you need to leave, leave. You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't need anybody to wave you off. You don't need that. You don't need any congratulations, because congratulations is coming from the Most High. It's not coming from them. See, and then it goes to show after we're dealing with narcissists, it goes to show us like, see, this is why you don't try and please other people. You try and please the Most High. Pleasing the Most High is pleasing yourself. You please yourself first, and the Most High is going to be pleased. And I know that's contrary to what a lot of us, who grew up in Christian households, were taught. And it's supposed to be that. It's purposeful mistranslations. And it's not bashing Christianity or Christians. It's just saying, if you have an intuition that something's off, listen to Cindy Trim. They were called saying that she was worshiping demons because she said, I can call down the legion of angels is 32,000. So if you can call down 100 legions of angels, that's what? 32 million? Or 320 million? You guys do the math. So anyway, to cope with the attacks of green-eyed narcissists, survivors may struggle with self-sabotage after experiencing a narcissist's abusive bouts of envy, rage, and verbal attacks. Right now, when we got out of there, I was like, oh my gosh, like, can't I do it? So right now, and I understand this, I want to share this with you guys. Like I said, I'm transparent. I'm very transparent, because this is a lifetime thing. This isn't something that just happens, once or twice, or that you got to work on once or twice. This is literally a lifetime thing. Your life is a lifetime, because these guys are not going to stop. They are constantly in a loop. And if your path is to walk through an area of, a den of demons, then they're going to catch your scent. They're going to catch your frequency. And because they're tired of being in the loop, and they say, oh gosh, we got fresh meat now. Boom, there we go. You're not attracting them. They're attracted to you like a moth to a flame. My spiritual mom told me that a long time ago. I just didn't know how the depths of the insanity. I didn't know even what to call it. Didn't even know what to call it. Also, just to let you guys know, go on my Patreon. You can access to affirmations and some chakra clearing videos, and some just relaxation meditations and affirmations to help you get on your way. Also, I do have and the information's in the description, but I do have I have a Koji with some design calendars that you can buy and download yourself. I think they're only $8. So go please check out that. I would love you guys' support. Also, I was getting ready to get focused on my Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, and doing sharing with you guys, my story. I'm also on TikTok if you guys want to go hit me up there. So yeah, everything has a phoenix in it. So and I'm also on at Rising Phoenix Designs, and this is how you spell that. That's where to go. Oh yeah, Rising Phoenix Designs. That's on there. So anyway, let me finish this up, and I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so to be transparent, because sorry, my head's hurting. I was dehydrated a little bit. And again, you got to drink a lot of water, because when they're siphoning and they're trying to make you sick, and they're doing a lot of stuff, and they're repressing what's normally give you nutrients, it's a hard case. I had to finally learn that I can't do everything on my days off, that I just have, it's okay to rest. Put in perspective what you've been through, and how depths, when you realize, I mean, the thought that somebody was trying to kill you, because they were so envious of your blessings, right? So when we transitioned into the new area, I was like, I said this actually this morning, in my prayer and meditation time with the Most High. And I said, I am tired of starting and being distracted. And I bluntly said, respectfully, I love my father and mother. So I said, hey, I'm not going to continue doing this. I did everything right and they sabotaged me. I don't have the energy or the patience, right? I can conjure the energy. I don't have the patience. Right? And I'm not bragging about this, but I just want you to know that sometimes we have the right to get mad too. We have the right to be like, enough. And sometimes that may be what our soul tribe and spirit team is waiting for. Like, are you going to continue to kind of, nurture or milk this or whatever? It's like, no, I'm done with it. So that's what I was telling the Most High. I am done. I have worked so hard. I mean, imagine somebody trying to kill you for 5 years be it through witchcraft. I mean, that's an insane thing. That's an insane obsession. So when I got here, we got to the new place, and that's like, I was under no, I wasn't naive anymore, of course, when I'm grateful for it, because the tools that I learned where I came from, I was able to use them. That's the grow part. The grow is when you find, I found myself in that similar situation. This is the second narcissist, and she has a flying monkey. Right? This is the second narcissist that has literally tried to destroy me. But it also has shown me my spiritual power, because it's not lasting, right? Like maybe with this other woman, and I think because there's a racial thing involved in it, with her, and there was with the last one too, but you know what I mean. It's for some reason I don't think it's that much, but she was nasty. Oh my God, when you feel these demons, when you see into the spiritual realm and all your senses come alive in that realm, and I mean, like her, anytime she showed up, it was like ugh. And I made I made some mistakes that I wasn't, some comments that I'm not shy about now, but I was like, ugh, like I couldn't hold it back, like, because I was like, ugh, gross, you know. And the thing of it is, they don't like to be ignored, because they're thinking that after like this, when they assault you or try and traumatize you in some way, shape, or form, they're already in their minds. It's like, okay, now it's a wrap. Now you're going to talk to me. Now you're not going to be, because they know naturally they are not the type of people we would engage with. They know naturally we are not the type of people that we are the empaths, the chosen, who will not engage with demonic entities or those who house demonic entities. You're a cocktail of character disturbance and spiritual sewage. Right? So, yeah. So, oh, that's what I was going to say. So basically, like, again, I'm not bragging about this, but the thing of it is that I was so tired and so fed up, right? Because I'm healing. This is the time where the Most High is wanting me to heal. And I've bottomed out on them distracting and discouraging me. And so when both of these people attacked me, these cluster B personalities attacked me, and they would always get physical, because see, when you can ignore them and I can step out, see, I've told you guys before on earlier podcasts that you walk out of the way because your ego's not involved. I can walk away from you. I'll walk to the other side of the street, but you follow me, I'm going to dig in your ass. That's the power that we have. If I've walked away from you and if you watch those old Japanese and Chinese film, they walk away. That's the principles. I'm walking away. I don't need to deal with you. There's nothing in, and that's my heritage. That's my bloodline too. The Eastern mysticism and occultism and spirituality. That's always been my bloodline. You know, that's what I said. You have to die to your race because you think you're black. You got to act like this. There are Africans from Africa who don't like us, who don't like black people. Just saw something today where an African guy was going around in Washington stabbing black people because he didn't like them. You know, and I've never pretended that I wanted to go to Africa, and part of it's because of what I've seen. I haven't, you know, it's not like I've actually been there. So you're relying on images on a TV screen or in a book, and it's like, oh, this is impoverished, and now they're showing, okay, this is lavish. I don't like the way, you know, but it's like I'm not gonna sit there and say, hey, you know, no, that's not the way that I've grown up. That's like somebody, and the trigger warning, and it's not to say anything, but it's about being realistic. And you know, I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I've always been a realist. But it's weird being a realist, but you're in the surreal realm. But to me, that's real, right? It's real. It is real. But you know, I was thinking about the singer, right? And I love her music. I think she's very deep and very, very passionate. Narcissistic tendencies. I think that's along comes along with it. But she had black faced herself, right, and done the cornrows. And I thought to myself, she did the cornrows and then put on this impeccable shade of tan, but because she wanted to be blacker, right? She wanted, and I remember seeing a little clip, and she had turned around and showed her butt. She had a thicker butt, you know, and it wasn't um, induced. It wasn't surgery. But I thought to myself, it's like that turned me off because she hasn't lived like a black woman. So for stage, you know, for her concert purposes, I guess she blackened up, you know? I mean, it was just so bizarre. But nobody points that out because it's this singer and everybody's infatuated with her. But see, the difference is like, so that's like me, her going to Africa and saying that that she, you know, like Dolez or whatever that lady was, you know, she said, I couldn't get a job after 6 years of being found out that I was not black and I had been for the NAACP. You know what I mean? It's like not against anybody who's mixed or anything. But it's like me. I've never really identified as, I had to question when I was on the streets. I was like, okay, how black am I? Right. And as a lesbian, as a black person, I always wake up with the same skin. I'm not denying any of that. But I am not a dark skinned black woman. You see what I'm saying? There's differences in how we're treated. And I'm not also a light skinned mixed black person. Right. So people were saying that this star actually is black, but she's also Spanish and she's also this, and she was black, Spanish, and French. And I don't think she's like American black. I think she's like, you know, Ghanaian or something, not Ghanaian, or, you know, I don't know, Jamaican or something like that. Right. But she was mixed with so much, she came out light. Right. So the Spaniards and whatever, the French took over the whiteness, you know. And so basically you can't say that you live like me, you know. And of course, and it's like I'm not judging, but I really like her, but I was just like, gosh, you know, you didn't even have to do that to yourself, you know, like you didn't have to do that. And I was really disturbed by that. I mean, you basically put on blackface, and that was upsetting me. I didn't like that she did that. But anyway, so I don't know if I said it or not. I'm getting tired. But so when in interacting with these guys, I noticed that my temper, and we have to really be careful, because even though we are allowed to have that self-righteous anger, right? That's our divine right for being messed with, right? And especially when we've already tapped out of the matrix and we've already said our declarations and we're already sitting here waiting, right? So when these women came after me, and because they came after me physically to get my attention, because I was already avoiding and evading them, so they were conscious of this, right? And I knew that they were conscious of what they were doing. And I moved, and see, a lot of times when you move out of the way, it attracts attention to them, and they know this. So that way, if they accuse you of something, you can say, no, I was out of your way, right? But a lot of them would sneak and do it when nobody was watching. right? To show that they are dominating. I had this one lady literally just come in, like she raced in. And a lot of times these people who are these cluster B cocktails who are demon possessed, they have the abilities of demons to kind of shapeshift and to kind of, all of a sudden they're in one place and then they'll be in another or next, or all of a sudden you see them, then you won't see them. But it's, you know what I mean? To them, to you, they moved, but they went out of this realm. The demon took them out of the realm. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. When you get on this journey, Phoenix is, it's going to open you up to a whole new you and a whole new way of looking at the world. But let me say it so I don't get them. I almost hit these women with everything in me. I was so mad that I was being violated after everything that I had went through. I was not playing. So I'm thankful for my guides. I'm thankful for the Most High, because I told them bluntly, I said, I almost hit this woman because she was literally in my space. I said, if you guys aren't going to look at cameras, that's okay, because I'll start filming. But these guys are doing things, so I was so mad that I almost lost it. And I almost, but it's not saying that it doesn't happen, and then that it's not saying that it won't happen, but I'm in the world and I'm not of it. So it's not normal, right? And so basically, when you're in dealing with narcissists in the workplace, they will use what? The assets of the environment, the assets of their employer. If they are not the one who has employed you, they will use the workers as flying monkeys. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing, just a different stage. Same thing, different stage. All right. So here's finish this off. The cutting, blah, 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 blah. They may begin to fear speaking about their accomplishments. So that's what it's like, they want you to shut up. That's why a lot of these guys will do shut up spells. I don't want you to speak anywhere. I don't want you to do anything. I just want to sit in your energy and have you continue to feed me without your knowledge or with your knowledge, and just just take from you. One thing I've learned is one thing I've noticed is that most of these guys, the narcissists that I'm running into, are on disability. So they have all the time in the world to do all this witchcraft and whatever. Why? Because they don't work. One goes and does little deliveries every now and then so she can get, her drugs. So she can continue to astral project and terrorize other people, get people, influence these men and women. Right? So anyway, the cutting words of the narcissistic abuser may reverberate in their minds long after the relationship has ended, instilling in them a sense of pervasive self-doubt and worthlessness. Walking on eggshells and disowning your power, however, is no way to live. Survivors have to regain the certainty that the reason they experienced such a pathological reaction was because they were so powerful in the first place. They wouldn't have tried to kill you, Phoenixes, if you weren't a threat to the hierarchy or their realm. That's not bragging. That's just understanding what is what. That's facing it, right? We're not bragging by facing it head on. That's something that a lot of us don't do, because why? This world, which is their domain, tells them that, they get to say, hey, well, you're, because they're narcissists. So they're going to call you a narcissist. Anytime they called Black people narcissists just because they had self-respect, because they weren't doing the racist stereotypes that they had expected them to do, because they knew the word spells. They knew the effects that words had on other people. There's this thing called subliminal suggestion, or no, heterosexual, heterosuggestion. When you're watching something, it's a suggestion. They're suggesting that this is the way things look and this is the way things should be. And because we respond to what we see first, 80% of the time, right? So because we see this, we're like, oh, this is the way that, and so people start to mimic. It's the 100th monkey. After a while, like Pulp Fiction, that shocked a lot of people when Pulp Fiction came out, the movie. It was long too. It was hard to sit in the theater. So when Pulp Fiction came out, people were like, oh my God, that was too much for my brain, right? And people were like, oh, well, you know, now that I think about it, see, because you got to give your brain time to register everything that it's seen, to process it. So anyway, they would not have attacked you, and it's not that you don't have gifts, and it's not that you're not doing the right thing. And of course, I am still to this day as a transformational coach, because I was talking to the Most High, and I was like, you know what, should I even keep doing this, right? And then suddenly I'd get somebody that would comment, on one of my social media, and tell me how wonderful and how grateful that they are that I that I did the podcast and that I talk about it. Right? So that meant a lot to me. That means, and so here I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it, But really, it gets frustrating when it does get frustrating. But see, we're sitting in that tears. It's okay to shed tears. I don't know. I have cried a lot since we've been out of that environment, and I'm not afraid and I'm not ashamed of it, because I want my body to heal. That's part of healing. And they said that scientifically, you're releasing the memories that are in your cells. Actually, you're purging, right? When I work out, I purge. When I go for a 6-mile walk, I purge. I walk to and from work. Why? Because that's 4 to 5 miles. I'm walking because I'm doing my cardio, right? But I'm also purging through sweat. So they wouldn't have attacked you, Phoenixes, if you didn't have something. And I know we get tired of hearing it. We get tired of hearing it. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but you can go to Shahida Arabi. She's on TikTok. She's on Instagram, and she has a self-care haven. Self-care haven is one word. WordPress.com, and you can go to more of her articles, and she's also on Amazon and Kindle. So, and just I'm going to read this last part. Remember, healthy people do not sustain a narcissistic injury or lash out in narcissistic rage when they see other people succeeding and doing well for themselves. Healthy people have enough security and empathy to feel happiness for others and to witness someone else beaming with authentic pride and self-love without wanting to destroy it or sabotage it in some way. You deserve to succeed. And I was thinking about that with my coworker. Like when I remembered, so everything had died down, and thank you to the Most High God and one of the supervisors who was like, I think she put a stop to it in a way that she would not be a target, which I appreciate her for it. And thank you. I think she does listen to my podcast too, so that's even better. But with this person, so when everything died down, and so I got my space, right? I got my space. And, because I was saying, she wanted to make a big deal out of giving me a pass down. And a pass down in security is something that is written, verbally spoken, or, basically written or verbally spoken. Or shown. Sometimes you got to show somebody, okay, this is what we got to start doing now, right? It's a change in something or something that's coming or whatever. And she refused to do that. She was obsessed with getting her way, right? But when I started talking about being a supervisor, this woman has always, for some reason, she's trying to negate. Like I said, I'm a grown adult. I'm a grown adult. You don't pay any bills of mine, but when I had said, she had a reaction to me elevating and going for supervisor. It's like, oh, can I be a supervisor? Can I drive? Can I do this? Can I do that? And here's this guard who's not a supervisor. She's, as long as she's been there, she hasn't been a supervisor. And it's not that you get paid any more than anybody else. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? Depending on what it is. But and she had a total reaction. She's like, no. And you know what I mean? Like, I could feel her saying that's like, gosh, normal people don't act like that. When I hear something for somebody, I am literally genuinely happy for them, And I have kind of had to learn, especially when you're in a work setting, to kind of like, oh, good, whether I care or not. And it's not because I don't like the people. I am indifferent, right? Because it has nothing to do with me. I'm focused on what my purpose is, right? So do not get discouraged. And that hopefully this article that I read by Shahidi Arabi, and love her work. She's like the bell hooks of narcissistic counselors, narcissistic and support. And it's not you. It's not you. And see, what the narcissist will make you feel is as if it is you, because they can't take responsibility. They're not mature enough. They want to play with big boy toys, but they don't want to receive big boy repercussions. They don't. They want to blame, as long as you allow yourself to be blamed, even though the battle is tiring because it's ongoing. We're not the first ones here. This may not have been our first rodeo, Phoenixes, but we're also not the first ones here. That's why I said it keeps recycling over and over and over and over again. They have to keep it in place. They have to keep it in place. And because they don't know how to survive on their own. They feed off of us. They literally feed off of us. So do not be afraid. If you've done your work, Phoenixes, and you're tired of being blocked and whatever, you may need to call in some better reinforcements. Some stronger reinforcements. You may get, prosperity. You okay? You may have to call in some of your ancestry that may not be with the light, but they're for you. You may have to call in that ancestry that, hey, we see what's going on. We've just been waiting on you to notice us, right? Because we are multifaceted beings. It doesn't mean that I am no less than a healer. It's just that I'm tired of not being able to do what I'm supposed to do to be healed. I have a right to have guards of my own, right? So anyway, thank you so much, Phoenixes, for sharing in this. I know this was long, but take your time. Please go like and subscribe, ring the button, the bell, and just to bump up, my views. I want to, again, 8-week course, 8-week program, 2 parts coming in attentively in summer 2023. It's called From Sealed to Healed, right? So make sure that you get on my social media so you'll be notified when that pops off. Please check out my artwork on my Etsy and my Printful. I don't think I have my Printful up, but I do have an Etsy shop, and I do have a TikTok with that on there, where you guys can just go to the link in the profile. And remember, Phoenixes, I love you, and your blessings are truly in your ashes. Rise.